Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. What's up? Welcome, everybody, to a fun, relaxed stream. We're going to be taking a little bit of a trip. We're going to get in a time machine. We're going to go back to the 90s. And on our way to the 1990s, we're going to be stopping and watching a few movies at the theater. They might even be featured in 3D. We're going to be going to the mall if you kids are good. It's going to be a lot of fun. What did you guys think of the debate? I enjoyed it quite a bit. I thought that it went pretty much the way I expected. I didn't expect anything out of the ordinary from the opponent. I figured it would go the way it did in terms of cross-examinations. Yeah, so it was fun. Now that that's out of the way, we can engage in some of our more leisurely pursuits as men of leisure and ladies of leisure. Is there such thing as ladies of leisure? That sounds like something dirty. So none of the ladies and none of the 5% nation. Just kidding. None of the ladies are the 5% nation of this sphere, right? None of the ladies, the 5% of the ladies of the audience. None of those ladies are going to be bad boys. Tim, engaging in blue steel. Exactly. And what a prophetic comment, because it's 90s night. And 90s night means that we're going to go through my top 10 90s movies. Not the top 10 90s movies that the critics say are the best 90s movies. My top 10 90s movies. Do you like we reorganized a little bit in here. Do you like this better? You get a better panorama view of all of the gnosis going on in here. Look, we got gnosis from the windows to the walls. Till all my gnosis falls. Till all y'all. All right, we got to stop there. It's too dirty. It get nasty if we go any further. From the windows to the wall. We got books to the windows to the walls up in here for sure. So we're going to be talking about my top 10 favorite movies from the 1990s. People may disagree. I want to know your top 10s. Tell me in the comments. We'll get to those here in a minute. We also might look through some movies of the 1990s. I mean, music. I love rap. I don't actually love rap, so I don't know where you got the idea. If I joke around and make cringecore rap songs, it doesn't mean that I love rap. So I'm actually not a huge rap fan. I think everybody who grew up in the 80s and 90s, though, is kind of just exposed to rap. So it's kind of just part of what we were exposed to. Now I've got a bunch of my old DVDs and I got old Moby CDs from the 90s out. So there's dust everywhere and it's making me cough. And the pollen is off the hook here in Tennessee, so it's just awful. Not an American Pie fan, not a Cool Runnings fan, man. Although me do like the Jamaican voice, man. There is much racism out here. The audience is much racist. Bruh, bruh. I do like Total Recall. It did not, however, make it into my top 10s, so no Total Recall there. Jamie sees the new angle of the studio because she was in here stirring up the dust bunnies, right? She was in here going, me, 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 right? Ooh, ooh, me, 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 me. Talking about, Jamie was in here giving pet names to the dust bunnies. They're so cute. She was giving them names. She got a pet dust bunny up in. Anyway. So Tim Gordon was asking me to call into his 50K stream. And I thought, what better way to do it than to refer back to the initial smack talking that he and I engaged in, which was that I thought he was the Creed dude. I was like, did the Creed dude become a trad cat and start a podcast? Right? Remember those Creed dude jokes? Scott Stapp infection. I got a cut in my heart and I got a Scott Stapp infection. And his name was Tim Gordon. Remember that? So I called into Tim's show today and I said this.
You are on air.
What I just heard
I know who this is.
What's up, dude? This is Jay.
Jay Dyer.
Yes. Now, unfortunately, with that crappy connection there, you couldn't really hear me enunciating the stapisms. I don't know how else to say it. Sorry. Well, I just heard the news today. It seems that Tim's no longer gay, with arms wide open under the sunlight. Welcome to this place. I'll show you everything. How's that? I had to change it up a little bit. And kid Tim a little harder than on his stream. I don't want to call him out on his stream. I want him to have a good day, but no, I'm just joking. Tim's not gay. Tim's a cool dude, and yeah, I'm glad to see that he's having a good time out there, killing it. We got and now Creed. I didn't listen to Creed, so I don't remember exactly what year Creed came out. So, was Creed technically 2000, or were they like 1999? You know what I mean? Because a lot of things are kind of on the edge. You know what I mean? Was it 99 or was it 2000? I don't remember. But before we leave the house tonight, guys, to head to the movies, we're watching TV, and we got to watch a little bit of let's see what Brittany Murphy was up to here.
Hi, I'm Brittany Murphy, and we're right now at the Blockbuster video store, which is pretty busy this time of day, at 51st and 8th Avenue. New York City, center of the universe, greatest city on earth. And
I don't know about all that, but Brittany Murphy needs to eat, dude. Look how skinny she is. Remember in the 90s when heroin chic was popular and it was, oh, you got to be like super skinny. What were they doing? Were they just throwing up everywhere? They didn't finish their meals. I mean, but what were we thinking in the 90s anyway? Because we didn't know how to eat yet. And they had just rolled out all of the super duper chemical foods, right? Like everybody's meals was Go-Gurt and Lunchables and frickin' pizza bagel bites. You know what I mean? That we didn't realize, we didn't know what food was in the 90s. We got duped in the 90s to think that this rollout, this damn fruit roll-up rollout was food. It was not food. It was not even a pale reflection of food. It was frickin' poison. Remember in Willy Wonka? Willy Wonka's over there throwing old boots and tires into his candy mix. That's because that's what they were really planning to do, and they did it in the 90s. Y'all know what I mean? By the way, we already got a generous man. We already got a generosity man. He's already sent $100. We can just wrap it up and go home now. That pays for the whole night. Everybody, go get you some Totinos and have a good night. Psych! Now that's a good one. Psych? That's straight up 90s. That's early 90s. Jamie's in there telling me 90s phrases. Yes, Jamie, I'm familiar with Not. The best part of Not, though, wasn't even Wayne and Garth from Wayne's World doing it. It was when Greg Bonson debated Jerry Matitix, and Jerry Matitix said something, and of all people, Dr. Greg Bonson says, Not. So Bonson actually used Not in a debate. That was my favorite use of Not. But not only was Not a 90s thing, like Psych. Psych also had origins in the 80s, too, if you remember. Right, it's Psyke. Thank you. These are just a few examples, just like these nuts is an example. Remember these nuts? Also a very fun trick to play on all your friends. Do you like these? And then it's something ambiguous. These what? These nuts. I don't know why that is still funny, but to me that is still funny because it's completely preposterous. But anyway, none of that has anything to do with Brittany Murphy. I was actually in New York around the time that Brittany Murphy is in here going to Blockbuster in New York. I'm going to say, Jamie, would you say it's about a 97, 98 haircut? See, girls all know dates by haircuts. You just, if you forget something, you know, Jamie's like, you know, if I forget something, where were we 5 years ago? And she's like, what was your haircut? And I'm like, bowl cut, right? She knows immediately. Oh, that was this time period when you had the bowl. I'm just joking. I'd have a bowl cut. I was never an Amish prairie boy, but
I'm here to pick out some good videos, my favorite videos. I'm overworked, I'm overtired, and I can relax and watch the things that I...
got a little bit of muscly sliver there for being so skinny, so I guess she was working out.
So,
by the way, I do believe in the questionable things surrounding Britney's events. So I'm a Britney questioner.
Come on, we'll have fun. Don't tell anybody. We're okay.
Now, today's kids are going to completely miss out on half of the fun when it came to home video rental, because half of the fun was going to Blockbuster with your bros or with your date and spending about an hour looking for the movie that was perfect. And now I guess what? It's just scrolling through Amazon or something, or illegal Russian sites. I mean, like nowadays, that whole experience is gone, right? I miss that experience. I think we need to bring back the ability to go and peruse through, you know, the freaking movie store. I mean, this was a significant part of my life for many years, was, you know, going to the VHS and then DVD rental store. And so many people are not going to grow up with this great experience. Just the whole aesthetics of it, right? And the movie store had its own smell. And my favorite was not the chains. I mean, Blockbuster was kind of fun, but Blockbuster was the first kind of big chain of the movie rental stores. So it was kind of like, eh. And unless you were in a big city, Blockbusters, they didn't have anything obscure. So if you were renting movies in the 90s, you had to go to your small towns, unless you lived in a big town, right? You had to go to like the two ratty ass, you know, strip mall movie centers, like Family Home Video, right? And you go in Family Home Video, or we had Hollywood Classics or something like that, right? And it always smelled like popcorn. It smelled like nasty ass poison candy, but still smelled good. And it smelled like, I don't even know. There's like a specific smell to the, maybe it's just the plastic scent of the VHS and the boxes and the, you know, whatever, but that smell is gone. Okay. Unless we set up in our houses, you know, mock rental movie stores. Like, what's that big ass nerd channel? Red Letter or whatever that all the dorks watch. You know what I mean? Yeah, see people at Hometown Video, Southern Video, exactly. Everybody had that. We had classic Home Video, Hollywood Hits. At one point, we had 3 of them, and one of them was a Chinese dude, and we always thought it was funny to prank him. So my buddy, he would call and he would ask for movies that did not exist. But that Chinese dude would sit there for like an hour slapping at the keyboard, like trying to figure out what that movie was, right? So like one of the best was my buddy called in and asked for Bagpipes in Harlem, starring Eddie Murphy. Oh, no bagpipe in Harlem. Who starred in the movie? Not Eddie Murphy. No bagpipe in Harlem. Anyway, that was high school fun right there, was pranking classic video and the Chinese guy trying to find Bagpipes in Harlem. Actually, Bagpipes in Harlem does perfectly sound like some goofy Eddie Murphy movie from the 90s, doesn't it? And there were some other classics in there as well, but Bagpipes in Harlem was my favorite. So anyway, we're at frickin' Blockbuster with Brittany Murphy. So what are we gonna pick out?
That. I don't know who just did that. It sure as heck wasn't me.
So what's she's over here looking at? Oh, look at that. She's looking at the net. Look at what's freshly out. We got Oliver Stone's Natural Born Killer, MBK, in the house. MBK. Speaking of, I was honored to be featured in a documentary with Oliver Stone, made by Sean Stone. So if you guys have not seen Hollywood, DC, you can look it up, Google it. I am in the segment right next to Oliver Stone. So Brittany Murphy, what she might rent. I can't see. It looks like there's a Michael Caine face. There's a Michael Caine face. We got a Michael Caine face there. We got the Net with Sandra Bullock, which, by the way, actually the Net, Jamie and I covered the Net, and there's quite a bit more conspiratorial elements in the Net than you would expect. In fact, it's all actually about the emerging surveillance grid and the ability of government, non-governmental actors to surveil and ruin your life. So there's quite a bit of revelatory elements in the Net for being such a preposterous Cassandra Bullcock movie.
Those in the comedy aisle, and I would recommend any Drew Barrymore film. They're all very happy.
Is that an Adam Sandler joint, Jamie? Is Adam Jamie's not even watching, where she's like, all right, I'm out of here. She checked it. I know that. I said, is the Adam Sandler in it? Or is that Wedding Singer? Okay, well, I don't know my Drew Barrymores, right? Because I wasn't a girl in the 1990s. I was a girl in the 2000s, and then I decided to be a boy again.
I like to rent happy movies and have a happy time. Relaxing. Romantic comedies.
Girls like rom-coms? No way, dude. Jamie, what's your favorite rom-com? So Jamie's favorite rom-com is While You're Sleeping. Is that 90s? Uh-oh, another 90s movie. Look at that. So this was like, Well, I'll tell you what we noticed. Preparing for this live stream, I was looking through a lot of 90s films. And for the ladies, I'm sure their favorite rom-coms exist and subsist in the 1990s. However, comedies in general did not survive from the 1990s. In fact, off the top of my head, I can only think of one comedy from the 90s that I think is still funny. And we'll talk about that here in a minute. But a lot of comedies were churned out in the 2000s, and then right around 2010, it started declining. But that was kind of a hot period for pretty funny comedies, right? The 2000s. That was a ripe comedy period. 90s, absolutely not, except for a couple outliers, which we'll talk about here in a second. They just didn't carry over. But however, if you're a lady, then I'm sure that if you're millennial, Gen X, I'm sure that your rom-coms are situated in the 1990s. All right, what else is Brittany talking about here? Lady girl flicks. Now, Jamie had never seen Boomerang. Remember Boomerang? I do. I remember Boomerang. Isn't that Halle Berry? Yeah, right. We got Eddie Murphy running for office or something, and then Halle Berry and like a love triangle, right? But the reason I remember Boomerang is because of the PM Dawn song. Is it my turn to wish you were lying here? I wouldn't blame you when you must leave. Die without you. Remember that? For whatever reason, I like that song. I don't know why. I mean, I was a white boy in the 90s. I didn't try to be not a white boy. But in the 1990s, remember, BET came out, right? Rap got mega big. It went from underground, kind of goofy, like mom and dad rap, like fun rap, Jazzy Jeff, Fresh Prince. Parents just don't understand, right? It went from like Curtis Blow and Will Smurf to, Dre and Ice Cube and CIA gangster rap, right? So we were just inundated with rap and R&B in the 1990s. I mean, I never even liked R&B, except I eventually kind of liked Prince. But anyway.
Boomerang.
So I don't know why Brittany Murphy's want to check out Boomerang, though.
Love Boomerang. The sound.
Jamie, we're going to be watching VHS with Brittany Murphy tonight. Do you want to watch Boomerang or Breakfast at Tiffany's or Never Been Kissed? Jamie's all for some Drew Barrymore.
Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore.
Well, Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore. How about Wedding Singer, Jamie? Hey, look at that. What's that movie over there with frickin' J-Lo and J-Lo's over there. J-Lo's over there with Matthew McConaughey. Yeah, and they're just talking about how to get on the other side of the TV screen through the VHS machine. I crawled into a VHS one time, and I got on the other side of that VHS, and I could see. My cough done messed up my Matthew McConaughey. McConaughey.
I mean, you can't beat this. This is a perfect rental. Okay.
Yes, shout out to the chat. I do like Grosse Point Blank. In fact, my friend who passed away a couple years ago, he was a big movie buff, and he had an interesting theory that Grosse Point Blank is a sequel to Say Anything, and then War is a sequel to. So there's a loose John Cusack trilogy between Say Anything, Grosse Point Blank, and and War, because if you notice, the same pen comes up. I mean, it's just a fun theory, right? It's one of those like alternative movie theories that you see, like these videos all over YouTube. I should make one of these about his theory of these. John Cusack's called the Iceman, and then he basically, the theory is that because Iona Sky didn't end up with him long term, because if you remember in Say Anything, he flies away with her on a plane, right? He's talked her into like running away on an adventure. And the pen was a big part of the story, just as a MacGuffin. And he's called the Iceman by, I think, Jeremy Piven, right? And then in Grosse Point Blank, he's coming back to his high school reunion, and he's a cold-hearted hitman who has given up on love. And then, of course, he meets Minnie Driver. And then we get references to the pen and the Iceman, I think. Doesn't Jeremy Piven call him Iceman in that too? Anyway, I've not... I don't remember the plot of War, so this could be ridiculous. Isn't Lizzie McGuire in War? It's just weird, but an interesting alternative theory on 3 John Cusack films. John Cusack's not a bad lead, actually. He's quite good in many movies. So he's like, he'll get some things right on Twitter, and then he'll just say some like wacky things. It's like, I'm like, John, you come on, you're kind of stepping in the right direction, but come on, John, come on. You're so, but I mean, that dude tweets like 24/7. Anyway. Yeah, you guys are feeling me though in the chat. Shout out, we got 329 on this fun balmy Monday evening, where Paul and Boy is out on the tack.
This is hysterical.
She wants to rent frickin'... I never really liked that movie. I mean, I don't know. It's okay. It's just kind of great. Like raunchy stuff. I tried... Jamie and I are going to do this... we're going to do this 90s Gen X movie fest, right? So we're going to do Reality Bites. We're going to do Before Sunrise, Richard Linklater. We're going to do Empire Records. And Anyway, a bunch of these, basically freaking every Ethan Hawke movie. Ethan Hawke, for whatever reason, is in every one of these, right? So we're going to do these alt rom-com, Gen X movies. And, yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. That's not what we're doing tonight. Nothing to do with that. I don't think any of my top 10s are, hell no. Hell no, they're not. They're not alt-coms at all. John Nubsack. Lloyd Dobler in the house. Shout out to Lloyd Dobler. What's up, everybody? Everybody's talking about how hot Brittany Murphy was. I think Brittany Murphy is an attractive person. She was just way too skinny. Like, why is she so...
God. Classic.
She looks emaciated.
Big Daddy. It's little...
So she basically only likes romantic comedies. Looks like the only movie she's picking out.
Difficult because everything seems to be...
She wants a freaking Sarah Michelle Gellar movie. No, wait a minute. Is John Cusack in that? No, that's Serendipity. What movie has she got?
Simply Irresistible.
Simply Irresistible. Never heard of that. Jamie, is Sarah Michelle Gellar's Simply Irresistible a good rom-com? Oh, well, there you go. So Jamie's always on the hunt for new romantic comedy chick flicks that she never saw. So Brittany Murphy is telling you from Beyond the Grave to rent that one, Jamie.
Well, right now. Where's Superstar? Okay, wait. I have to see that today. Superstar is the best comedy that
I think she's got Return to Me. Is that one about the pig heart or something? I don't know why I always think it's a pig heart. Every time that she's got in her hands the mini drive, is it Mulder? Yeah, she's got Return to Me from. I always think that somebody got implanted with a pig heart, and I'm like, how's that fit into a love story? And it's like, no, the ex person's lover, died, but the new person, Mulder's got, I don't know, somebody's heart, and then they have. Is it Mulder or the girl that gets the heart? Jamie doesn't know. Anyway, the reason I get that mixed up is that when I went to do stand-up at this very time, when Brittany Murphy was in New York, in the 1990s, 97, 98, I was at Dangerfields. Okay, so I had a whole routine that I practiced all throughout my 4 years of high school. And so I did a bunch of amateur nights in New York back in 97. Yes, David Duchovny, a.k.a. Mulder. Thank you. Shout out. I'm not dissing you, Jethro. Shout out to my mods. Yes, no, SNL was a lot of fun in the 90s. Return to Me is the girl. You're saying it's the girl that got the pig heart. The reason I think pig heart is because, so I went to Dangerfields and I had been doing my routine at a bunch of clubs. It was open mic. I wasn't like famous or anything. And we went to, for me, that was kind of like, oh yeah, how to get respect, I tell you, right? I mean, I grew up with boomers that liked Rodney Dangerfield. So I always thought it was cool to go to Rodney Dangerfield's club in New York, Dangerfields. And we had fun. We saw a lot of comedians. I don't think Rodney Dangerfield wasn't there that night, but there was this Jewish woman who had this act, and her act was that she was New York's first woman to have a heart transplant, and it was a pig heart. So her whole act was that throughout her routine, she would periodically snort like a pig. So anyway, that was like her routine. Anyway, she was really nice to me after the event, though, and she was like, you're funny. Oh, yeah, do your thing. You're funny. Anyway, but I'll never forget that. So when I hear people getting heart transplants, I always think back to the Jewish woman's heart transplant of a pig joke at Dangerfields. And I think if you pull up Jamie Kennedy clips, you'll see him in some of his clips at Dangerfields. But I actually think Dangerfields in the 90s wasn't just in New York. I think there was a chain, right? Wasn't there a bunch of Dangerfields? Anyway, we're way off course, but I'm having fun. We're telling 90s stories. We're taking a time machine trip with all the good kids in the audience, all the good boys and girls, no bad boys, no bad girls, to the 1990s. We might go to the mall if you guys are good. It wasn't Mitzi Shore. This was Dangerfields in New York. So I wonder, Let's see if that still exists. But I'll bet you we can pull up. Oh, I don't get no respect, I tell you. I don't get no respect at all. Dangerfields, New York. Yeah, well, here's Bill Hicks at Dangerfields. Yes, this is exactly what it looked like. So in the 1990s, when you go to Dangerfields in New York, it had that's exactly what it looked like. It had the kind of gold letters that were called all kind of jibby jabby jangled up there. They weren't organized, but that's probably Bill Hicks in the late 80s though. And I have to say, I never really, it's going to probably rub a lot of people the wrong way, but I don't really think Bill Hicks is funny. Do y'all think Bill Hicks is funny? I mean, I kind of like some of his social commentary, but as a comedian, I don't think he's that funny. Hey, Jamie, could you make me a coffee and put some Manuka honey in it? Thank you. Anyway, yeah, so Dangerfields, I don't know if it still exists or not, but where are we at? Oh, yeah, we're still trying to pick out movies with Brittany Murphy. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I forgot to mention, too, our big $100 super chat already came from Ray Ginocchio, and he says, for $100, 100, there's no need to announce. Oh, he says, don't announce it. Okay. He says, not to announce that part. I won't announce that part. And he says that pray for him and family members. I'll say that much of it. Well, thank you so much, Ray. And okay, we will do that. Daniel Rodriguez sends $5 and he says, is this a Boys in the Hood watch party? I didn't really like Boys in the Hood, to be honest with you. I mean, there's, I guess, I liked Friday. Friday was funny. We got Cat Williams. We got, if you want some Ice Cube, let's just go with Friday. How's that? In the 1990s, everybody had that Dr. Dre album. And everybody then had Snoop. I remember seeing Snoop before anybody knew who Snoop was, because I would watch YoMTV Raps and I would watch BET only for rap shows. And I remember the first time they played Snoop's first song. Snoop was first rapping on, yeah, and you don't stop, 'cause it's 187 on the undercover car. Remember that? That was Snoop on a Dre song. And I remember watching that video when it premiered. And I was like, interesting. So I heard Snoop Dogg the first time his video premiered. Not that that matters really, but thank you guys for the super chats. We're having fun tonight. Shout out to everybody in the audience, all my 90s, millennials, and Gen Zs.
In a really long time.
We're picking out movies with Brittany Murphy tonight.
Mary Catherine.
So she's basically all about comedy. So she's just a goofball, it looks like.
Can't wait.
Sorry, but I never thought Molly Shannon was funny. I don't know what the thing is with and this character of the armpits. Like, what is funny about that? I've never thought Molly Shannon's funny. I thought a lot of the Saturday Night Live people were funny back in the day, 90s and 2000s. I mean, up into like Will Forte, Bill Hader. I mean, that was all like legitimately really funny people. But Molly Shannon's armpit thing, I never thought that was funny. I don't get it.
Ready?
Yeah, I don't get that.
So we love this movie. This is really funny.
So basically, it looks like what the Hollywood people that were cool in the late 90s were doing hair-wise, by about the year 2003 or 4, became the wine aunt Karen do, right? So it's about 5 years off. Whatever Hollywood's doing, put that forward about 5 years, and your bitchy wine aunt will have that haircut. That's what I think's going on. Because that's a Karen in the making, right? But that's like a Karen that will be transplanted to about 2003 or 4. And you still see that haircut, right? Like I go out in town where I live, and I'm to put it in the words of a black comedian, this bitch thinks it's 2003, right? You know what I mean?
To rent this. Reality Bites, which I just saw somewhere. Don't know where it is.
What did I say? What did I say? What will a Gen X woman pick out at the movie store? Frickin' Reality Bites. Why is that? Because of Troy Dyer. That's why. Because you've got Jewish guy versus quasi slacker grunge guy, I guess. And yeah, in the 1990s, right? Even if you were Jewish guy with job and money, you still couldn't outgame grungy philosophy reading Ethan Hawke. That's what I'm trying to say, right? Y'all feel me out there? And that's because for whatever reason they just decided that Ethan Hawke was like the archetype of 90s dude. And if you notice, which was weird, we're not going to go too deep into Reality Bites because we're going to dissect it. It's going to be a lot of fun. But in Reality Bites, he's reading Heidegger. It's very, very bizarre. I did not expect Troy Dyer to be reading Being in Time by Heidegger, but that's what he's actually reading. So it's like, there's actually a couple funny parts in Reality Bites that still hold up. Like the sort of the confrontations between Troy Dyer and the Ben Stiller character. And Troy Dyer's quoting Heidegger and stuff. It's like that I did appreciate. That was quite a bit of fun. But look, does this not prove my point? What movie does Brittany Murphy go pick out? Reality Bites, because of Troy Dyer. And look, his name's Dyer. What can I say? Right? What can I say?
24 now.
I mean, the philosophy dude, his name's Dyer. All the ladies love him, right, Jamie? Right?
And I remember when I actually hit the age.
Did you see that, Jamie? What movie she picked? Jamie not even watching my streams. You can't see it. She picked Reality Bites because of Troy Dyer.
That people
Does that not prove our point? Exactly.
In Reality Bites, I was a little shocked because they always seem so much older and cooler than me. And they still are.
Well, maybe Brittany Murphy isn't Gen X. Maybe she's right where we are, which is the edge there. I don't know.
But
she said they're older than her.
Film is sort of priceless and timeless, and has one of my favorite actresses and friends, Winona Ryder, in it, and Ben Stiller's hysterical. He directed it. Ethan Hawke.
Oh, I didn't know Ben Stiller directed that.
Great. It pretty much captures the Gen X generation.
Oh, there you go. She's right. She nailed it.
I'm actually not a Gen X member. I missed it by like a year or two.
Oh, okay. So she's like kind of where we are, basically. Right in that framework. Okay. But yeah, still captures it, right? Clueless, every girl in the 1990s, absolutely right. Jamie, did every girl in the 90s want to be Alicia Silverstone or whatever? Okay. So it's because she was rich or what? All of it. Oh, she's picking my I can't stand Tom Hanks' face, dude. Ugh. Brittany Murphy's over here trying to rent Big by Tom Hanks. Ugh.
It's a
Doesn't he wet his bed as like he becomes a kid? This is a weird movie. I remember watching that as a kid. I never liked that movie, and he gets that stupid piano that you step on from whatever. I can't stand his face. I do like The Burbs though. The Burbs is a good movie. I do like The Burbs, but get Tom Hanks' face out of my
Tom Hanks,
out of my
Penny
face.
Marshall, you can't beat it. Big. So we're gonna take this one. Oh God, Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah, but Beverly Hills Cop is 80s, so we can't rent that in the 90s. Although, in the 90s we had fun watching 80s movies, so I'll take that back. So now she's going over here to musicals. So we know we're renting movies with a female because she's in the rom-com section and now the damn musical section. Ugh. Musicals are the worst, dude. Although I have actually been in a musical and I am heterosexual. I promise you that. But my senior year, as you all know, they chose West Side Story because the drama teacher's son needed to have the lead role to sing that stupid Wasp guy's songs or whatever. So, and guess who played Bernardo the villain? You got it. Yes, I was a Puerto Rican villain in our high school musical play. I have to say I did pretty good. I did do the dances and all of it. When you're a jet all the way from your first cigarette to your last dying day. Now, that's not what the Puerto Ricans sing, because they're the Sharks. Anyway. Do you think is she gonna pick out West Side Story? Ugh.
Okay. We have two movies, and
by the way, I don't like West Side Story. But it was either, do you want to be... I tried out for the lead, but she was going to give it to her son. Plus, I don't sing that well anyway. So I was happy to be Bernardo, but I don't know. Musicals? No. I think girls like musicals, right? And gay dudes, I guess, right? East Side Story. Yeah, it turned into East Side Story when I got older, right? When it turned into theology, right? Theologically speaking, I realized, like the musical, that West Side is gay. Exactly, like Western theology.
I wasn't going to bombard you with Bob Fosse films either, but since they're here, we have Cabaret.
No, sorry, Brittany, put that one back. We're not watching that with you.
Classic. I think it's the best World War II film ever made, in my own personal humble opinion.
No.
You have everything you want in a film.
Not anything.
Same thing with all that jazz. That's Roy Scheider.
No,
he was in
don't want either of those.
Jaws.
Yeah, I know who Roy Scheider is.
Many other
we don't
things.
want that, Brittany. Put those back.
Can you have
Brittany,
drama,
put those back.
Comedy, dancing.
Brittany, Jamie and I are watching the movies with you tonight. This is. You should be grateful. Put those two back. We're not watching
Music, everything, all of it. Moulin Rouge. It's the only film of modern day.
I do have to admit that Moulin Rouge was better than I expected. I ended up having to watch that one time, and it was actually better than I expected. I'm not a fan of that, although Boz's freaking Leo Jamie Kennedy. Shakespeare. Going blank. Romeo and Juliet, the freaking essence of the 90s. That is not in my favorites list, by the way. But yeah, y'all remember Jamie's in that movie, right? Shout out to Jamie Kennedy in Romeo and Juliet. And a lot of y'all don't remember. So we can blame Jamie Kennedy for all the pink-haired weirdos out there, right? Let's see. Because he plays what's his name's, isn't he Leo's best friend? Is that right? But a lot of y'all forgot. In fact, somebody was even mentioning that they forgot that Jamie was in this. He's also as a extra in Dead Poets Society, but let's see what Jamie's talking about. So he was reacting to his role here at the petrol. Doesn't he like brandish his gun at the gas station or something like that? Let's see if he shows any images of it. Yes. Remember this? I remember seeing this in the theater. Remember that? And so that's Boz Luhrmann, right? Who also did Moulin Rouge, who also did the Elvis movie recently, and the that's not Jamie Kennedy. That's that chunky dude. Anyway, you guys remember this, right? And it's so surreal, though, to meet people that you watched in the 90s. It's kind of crazy. It's just weird. It all just still seems surreal to me. What's the other Baz Luhrmann movie I'm trying to think of? Oh, the one with Leo. Great Gatsby. I actually think Baz Luhrmann's Great Gatsby is pretty good.
To sort of capture what Bob Fosse was doing in the 70s. But if you're a young filmmaker or if you have a pulse, please rent Cabaret and all that jazz. I am going to this evening.
No, put those back. We're not doing that.
AI.
What does she have to go ask the boomer for help? He ain't gonna know any movies.
I saw that in the movie theater. Have you seen it yet?
No.
She saw AI. That's weird. AI, by the way, is really dark if you go back and watch it.
It's good. It's very long though, but very good. It has to be here somewhere.
Is he trying to spit game like that other guy that we watched in the commercial? Remember the Blockbuster commercial where the guy went over to Claudia Schiffer who was trying to spit game, and she's like, "Yeah, you can spend the night with me. Here's my VHS workout videos that you can go watch, loser."
These are the S's. So maybe here's the A's.
It's AI, right?
Yeah, AI is the name of it. The little kid.
So the boomer doesn't know what AI is.
That's not it.
Not even close.
No. Okay, we'll find it. Everyone has their own taste in film.
Damn, how many movies does Brittany Murphy watch in a night?
So I guess it just depends on what
And
you're
has she picked anything that we want to watch? She picked Return to Me about Mulder getting a pig heart.
Some of my favorites. Okay. Oh, The Shining we have. Shrek. Shrek is
She chose Shrek over The Shining? Oh, come on now. Brittany, right? So basically she has a kid mind.
incredible. This is the best
Shrek
movie
is
I saw all
incredible.
last year.
Is this what's in girls' minds? If I was to look into a girl's mind, it's basically a cartoon, like in Lifetime. Is that what's in a female's mind? Just a joke. It's a joke before you lose your mind. Girls think in cartoon. That sounds like a stand-up routine. I want to throw that into some stand-up routine. Girls think in literally cartoon. Like that's their, like, if you could visualize it.
I think everybody's seen it by now about 500 times, but
We're not
this is
renting
some
Shrek,
funny
Brittany. Put
stuff.
that down.
I think I'm gonna rent it. So generally at the end of a
What did you
video,
get?
so generally at the end of a video store trip, I'll end up coming to the cash register and having to.
Look at that. Harry Potter's. Look at that. You could get Harry Potter freshly on VHS, brand new, $16.99. What do you think of that? Y'all want to buy a Harry Potter VHS?
Through everything.
Look at that big old fat monitor. Remember fat white monitors everywhere? There are youths today who will never know the experience of lugging around and hooking up those big ass stupid fat monitors with the freaking worst design ever cords that you plug in and then twist. Like, who came up with that ridiculous idea to have twisty screws on a plug? It's just dumb, right? Remember
Hey
those?
Sergio,
Oh, Sergio.
how you doing? My
Hey,
eyes are a
fool.
little bit bigger.
Hey, fool. I got to talk to Brittany Murphy today. She was like barely like 100 pounds, fool. Better get some of this. Better get some of this butter popcorn. It's full of the fake butter. You need to put on some pounds, girl.
Than what I'm able to watch. So I'm definitely going to be renting. What do we have here? We're doing Superstar. Thank you, Sergio. We're doing Reality Bites,
Ugh.
All That Jazz, and Cabaret.
Well, Reality Bites about the only one that I could stand to watch, Brittany. So I don't think Jamie and I are not going to be hanging out with Brittany Murphy on movie nights anymore. So.
Superstar. Can you say it? Like, yeah, very Catherine. Superstar. Okay. And do we have all that?
Sergio was not having it, right? Like, she's making jokes about Molly Shannon and doing impressions, and Sergio is just like total. He's stone cold over there. He didn't even give Brittany Murphy the slightest flirt, dude. He was like, just, you gonna pay or not? You got any cash or card? What you gonna do? We don't take checks. We don't take checks here.
Chaz? Yeah. Let's throw in Beverly Hills Cop too. Not Beverly Hills Cop 2, but Beverly Hills Cop also. Sergio, it was a pleasure meeting.
Beverly Hills Cop is still fun. Eddie Murphy is actually still kind of funny in that movie. All right, what's up? CRT, what's up? We got some haters in the chat. Oh, it's got some haters. If y'all would hit like and share. We also have to remind you, speaking of Jamie Kennedy, would you like to come hang out with us and Jamie Kennedy? Well, you can do so right here by coming to our live event March 15th. You heard me right. In Hollywood. Yes. Elite, fancy, famous Hollywood. Look at that. See that right there? You get all of that. And it's going to be a blast. And it's only like 45-ish bucks or something. You can't beat that. Somebody said you got to get with David Lucas. That's funny because I was just watching some of his roast clips, and when I was thinking of what a black comedian would say about a Karen haircut, I had in my mind David Lucas. So you actually were vibing with me right there, right? Like if a black dude saw a woman today with a Karen cut, my mind went to David Lucas and this bitch thinking 2005 in her. Right? Yeah, exactly. So, look, we're going to have a massively awesome time. The last LA event was a blast. Get your tickets right there in the chat. And it's going to be 5 hours of lectures on geopolitics, theology, philosophy, occult Hollywood. It's different material than the last live event. So, people are thinking, it's the same. No, it's not the same thing. Totally different. And another headlining with Jamie Kennedy. And he killed it last time. Everybody had a blast. It was super fun. Get your tickets right there. It's about a month from now. And it's not like last time in the middle of the freaking week. Last time I had to pick a terrible date in the middle of the week. And we still got 100 people. So this time we got a better date. Friday night. I think that's a Friday night. Yes, Friday, March 15th. How could you not want to come hang out with freaking B-Rad, dude? Malibu's Most Wanted? B-Rad? Come on now. Come on, son. Come on, son. Get your tickets. There's the link in the show description and in the chat for the live chat there. Also, remind you guys that we had an amazing week over on Rockfin as well. All the videos go up on Rockfin. And that includes the great interview with Sam Tripoli. So counting the various uploads, everybody loved that interview. So Sam was a little worried. Like, dude! He thought he was being too serious. I was like, no, man, it was great. Everybody loved it. I think we got about 200,000 or 300,000 views total across the various platforms. So the conversation on Satanic Hollywood with Sam Tripoli was really good. What else? Tristan and I did a great breakdown of There Will Be Blood. I thought we had a phenomenal discussion. Really good movie analysis. So definitely go check out me and Tristan breaking down that. So let's get to my favorite 90s movies. So Brittany's helped us pick out some of her selections. We've decided we're not going to watch Brittany's movies tonight because they weren't a very good selection. Are you talking to me? Hey, Jamie, could you come here? I'm going to need you to plug this computer in. It's going to die. Yeah, Jamie, I watched an interesting video on the history of Mask 2 and the whole background to that. It's a pretty interesting story. I think Jamie didn't initially want to do that movie. And then they kept sort of upping the ante and pressuring Mask 2 and all that. So it's an interesting story behind Mask 2. And you can watch his videos on his channel where he covers that background story. But let's get to my favorite 90s movies. Could you help me plug that in right there? I am going to have to, I think... Let's see. I think the internet here is acting weird again. So it's going to blink out for 1 second. I might have to switch over to Wi-Fi. So we've had a decent... I think it only cut out once tonight so far. So hold on 1 second. We got to make sure we can get on this stupid thing. It's like you pay for like the most... Like you get every upgrade and every possible, you know... All right, what's up? Yeah, There Will Be Blood was a good breakdown that we did. Let's get into my favorite 90s movies. Now, these are in no specific order. And be a little bit of a walk down memory lane. We're going to have fun. And I want you guys to remind me in the chat, Young Guns. That's funny. I was just joking with Jamie about Young Guns. She had never heard of this. I was like, you've never heard of Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez and was it Kiefer in a freaking 90s Western? Remember that phase in the 90s when Westerns came back? We had like Wyatt Earp with Val Kilmer, and we had Tombstone. We had Kevin Codsnapper from that's what we were calling him when we were watching that Waterworld, right? We were making Kevin Costner fish jokes because he has webbed feet. Remember this? It's so stupid. Waterworld is actually entertaining to watch because it's so ridiculous. Like it's one of those. The 90s was really good for creating preposterous, over-the-top summer blockbuster action movies that were just absolute gigantic collapse failures, but were so bad that they're actually a tremendous amount of fun to watch. Like multiple Arnold movies are this way. Certainly Waterworld is one of them. Jamie and I had a blast reviewing and analyzing Waterworld when we did, if you guys remember 2 years ago, we did every dystopian movie in chronological order in terms of the story's chronological order. Kevin Costco. I mean, we had a lot of zingers. I remember Kevin Codsner and Kevin Codsnapper because he had... we did The Postman, but we also did... Waterworld was much more fun. But Jamie still quotes The Postman all the time. She's always saying stuff's getting better. So, so Jamie has a special place in her heart for The Postman. I never liked Mighty Ducks. My little brother, though, unfortunately. My little brother, unfortunately, was a massive fan of Cool Runnings. So I've seen Cool Runnings, Mom. I've seen the Cool Runnings like a million times. And I still don't like it. But shout out to Bodyguard. Bro, I'm starting to doubt your sexuality, bro. You talking about the Bodyguard as a dude? I'm just joking, Maximus. It's just a joke. All right, let's get into it. We got a lot of good 90s suggestions there. Yeah, The Fugitive, definitely a 90s classic. Scary Movie, I think, starts maybe in 98, 99, so maybe the first one could fit. And I have to give some credit to... I mean, I think the Wayans brothers could be funny, and I think some of the Scary Movies are pretty funny. Anna Faris is one of the few funny female girl comedians that I think is funny, or can be. But before we get to that, well, I'll talk about a couple of my favorite 90s comedies. And this is because they don't really make it into the top 10. Because there's so few 90s comedies that actually held up, that are still funny, in my view. They don't really make it into the list. So they're honorable mentions. My first honorable mention is Jim Carrey. I never really liked Ace Ventura. And I'm sure some people will find that surprising, especially if you're from the 90s. Because Ace Ventura was everybody's favorite comedy in the 90s. And you couldn't get bigger than Jim Carrey in the 90s. I mean, dude was just dominating the 90s. Every movie he put out was a comedy explosion. And it's hard to conceptualize this. Like, no one else in the 1990s. Like, Eddie Murphy was still kind of popular, but he couldn't hold a candle to just everybody. Was just thought Jim Carrey was the bee's knees. I mean, he was just everywhere, right? So even though everyone loved Ace Ventura, I was never a huge fan. I thought it had some moments, but believe it or not, my 90s pick for Jim Carrey was actually The Cable Guy. We loved The Cable Guy. I thought The Cable Guy was just genius at the time. And not just because of Jim Carrey being a funny character, but actually Matthew Broderick is a really good comedic actor. He's actually really funny. He can play his roles perfectly, especially when he's playing the straight guy. So if you watch, for example, another 90s classic, which almost makes it into comedic greatness and almost could be on this list, and that is Election with him and Reese Witherspoon. However, Election doesn't make the list, unfortunately, because it's super gross and raunchy. If they had toned down the raunch, that would have been a genuinely genius comedy. I think it had potential. And Matthew Broderick is very funny in many scenes. I mean, it's like, it's hard to, because Jamie and I rewatched this, right? We went back and reviewed this one recently. I was impressed. If it had just been a little less raunchy, but no, unfortunately, it doesn't make it. So my first pick for 90s comedy that is an a runner-up is Cable Guy. The only comedy that makes it into my top 10. And again, it's hard to get around this one. It's kind of obvious. I think everybody's going to have at least one comedy in their top 10 from the 90s. I know it's kind of obvious, but yeah, Zoolander does make it. Zoolander is still funny. And that's a challenge because, as we said, and it might be 99, 2000. It's right at the we'll give a little leeway here, right? So the only one so far in my top 10 that's a comedy. None of my other top 10 are comedy, except for one is kind of a comedy. It's more of a dramedy. Zoolander's the only comedy that makes it in, and it's still funny. So we have to give some credit to Ben Stiller. And if you weren't in the 90s, there were a couple 90s sketch comedies that were way ahead of their time and were actually really funny. So before there was Whitest Kid You Know, and before there was, any other American US based sketch comedy shows, as we said in the other show, in the 1990s, if you wanted to get noticed, you wanted to get your stuff first on MTV. And there was this great period when MTV would play a lot of really edgy, experimental type of stuff. And I had one of these MTV things here where they had quite a few interesting, edgy 90s things. We talked about this in other streams, so I'm not going to rehearse it, but MTV had Liquid Television, and they had a lot of really experimental new stuff. Beavis and Butthead experiment, kind of pops on the scene via MTV. So there was this weird, perfect period where they would actually play kind of underground, edgy, up and coming stuff. And one of the sketch comedy shows that we all loved in the 1990s that in many ways kind of inspired the type of comedy that we would like to eventually perhaps do was The State. Do you guys remember The State? I went into the archives and I found the Arcanum. I found my State DVDs from back in the day. Look at that, MTV. And if you don't know, of course, The State, a lot of the people that went on to do Reno 911 were from The State. But The State was also way ahead of its time. I mean, the type of comedy that they were doing on The State was so kind of, it was just, I don't know how to describe it. It was like super cutting edge and abstract and weird. It's like Tim and Eric of the 90s is a good way to describe it. So, you've had a lot of these kind of avant-garde, kind of outside of the box sketch shows right? $1 Million Extreme. So before $1 Million Extreme, you had Tim and Eric. I'm not saying, I mean, I think Sam was doing his own thing, but Sam was definitely, I think, influenced by Tim and Eric. But before Tim and Eric, you have The State. So, anyway, I'm not saying that everything State holds up, but in addition to The State, Fox also aired, because Fox was kind of edgy too when they first appeared. They were experimenting with The Simpsons, and they had the Ben Stiller Show. And the Ben Stiller Show ran, I think, 2 seasons, and it was actually really funny. Like, there was some good skits. Some of those skits still hold up. And this is where Bob Odenkirk got his start. So this Ben Stiller Show was, and I'm not saying everybody on this show is great, but like Janine Garofalo was on Ben Stiller Show. Andy Dick was on Ben Stiller Show. Bob Odenkirk was on Ben Stiller Show, and I want to say, I think David Cross might have been on Ben Stiller Show. So, again, just fun, interesting 90s things. So, yeah, Ben Stiller, I mean, Tropic Thunder, it's not 90s, but Tropic Thunder is funny. I think Ben Stiller, you know, whatever you think of his politics, like, you know, he can make genuinely funny things. So, let's see. Next up, I guess we'll do my runner-ups that didn't make it into the top 10. Next runner-up in my 90s faves would be an Ethan Hawke, Uma Thurman classic, Gattaca. Remember Gattaca? I remember Gattaca made a big impact on me when I watched it in the theater in the 90s, because I felt like not so much that the movie was the best movie of the 90s or anything like that. And it's also kind of depressing. Well, the Jude Law character is kind of depressing. But Gattaca was, I felt like there was something just atmospheric about the movie that warned in a way. I just felt like there was something ominous about it. Maybe it was even a kind of a warning. And of course, it is about eugenics, depopulation, future dystopia. So Gattaca definitely gets a nod, but I don't think it makes it fully into my top 10. But another one, and I think if you go and look, I think you would be surprised. I think Danny DeVito produced Gattaca, which not many people know. But another honorable mention, just because it was such a weird movie that came out in the 1990s, and a lot of people went and watched it. It was always just too, I think, a little too bizarre to really sit well with a mass audience. And I don't think that it's that great of a movie to this day, but it's just something about it that's so 90s and memorable, and that is The Fifth Element. And if you go back and watch The Fifth Element, you'll start to notice that, okay, this whole sequence here is kind of Star Wars. This whole sequence here at the beginning with Bruce Willis is basically Blade Runner, right? I mean, it's like he's Deckard in the exact same sort of Blade Runner scenario. So a lot of weird, goofy, esoteric stuff too, which in the 90s, there's not a lot of esoteric, like big blockbuster, you know, theater films with much esoteric stuff. That was more for art house films, avant-garde stuff, Pi, you know, Darren Aronofsky. And I'm not a huge fan of Pi, but you didn't see a lot of this kind of thing in theaters in the 90s very often. But every now and then, even in the 90s, you would have these weird movies that would somehow make it to theaters, which would never happen today. I mean, it's just like, it was so different in the 90s as opposed to today. I mean, we were talking about this not too long ago with my movie buff buddy who passed away a couple years ago, and he was just reminiscing on how weird it was that David Lynch movies would be in the theater in the 90s. And, you know, there would never be anything like that in theaters today. So at one point, even in the 90s, it was still the auteur, the, you know, art house type of movie could at times still make it into theaters. Not anymore. Not in a long time. I didn't like Poor Things at all, but I guess Poor Things is the closest thing that I could think of a art house type of movie that somehow made it to nationwide theaters. And if you watch that movie, it's just like, hey, Ugh. But I think we talked about this some on a different stream. It's kind of weird Crowleyan elements. Now, another runner-up, not because this is that great of a movie, just because it's so memorable as a 90s movie, is, of course, Face Off, right? Face Off with the weird, ridiculous, archetypal Castor, Pollux, Nicolas Cage being so Nicolas Cage throughout this movie. I do not like John Travolta. His face annoys me as much as Tom Hanks's face. So I don't actually enjoy the aesthetic experience of watching this movie and having to see John Travolta's annoying face. But Nicolas Cage is just so over the top that Face Off gets more and more enjoyable every viewing. And then when I remember that this is John Woo, who films doves flying around as people are spinning in cars, Tokyo Drift style, off of a cliff for their meet cute. I mean, there's nothing more ridiculous than 90s John Woo films where, like, Jean-Claude Van Damme is wrecking his motorcycle and doing a flip and landing on his feet like a cat. I mean, it's just... John Woo was something else. So this just makes it as a wild, fun 90s ridiculous artifact. It does not make it into my top 10, however. So, top 10 90s movies. Let's get into... now we got a couple more runners up. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Hope you guys are having fun. It's a fun 90s movie night tonight. People are saying, yeah, Bloodsport was a lot of fun, except that was 80s. And I watched Bloodsport so many times as a kid that I actually thought I could do that roundhouse kick. And in my first official big high school fight, my roundhouse didn't land. And I got beat up. So I had mixed emotions when it comes to Bloodsport. Because I felt like it was false advertising. Like I felt like I was being told I could do this. And I cannot do that. So... 90s runner-up just because it's so over the top. And there's so much 90s MK Ultra. And that would be Resident Evil Part 1. Resident Evil Part 1 is not a good movie. It's a goofy video game-based movie. But if you go back and watch it, and then you watch the rest of that series... It's kind of mind-blowing how much MK Ultra, like, what's the Umbrella Corporation doing? Oh, they want to depopulate the Earth, and they're going to use MK Ultra mind control to basically get rid of it. I mean, it's just, viruses, all kinds of crazy stuff. So, a lot of predictive programming. A couple more runners up. Another Nicolas Cage 90s masterpiece, Con Air. Cyrus the Virus. Right. That's a pretty good John Malkovich. Come on now. That's my John Malkovich. It's pretty good. Everybody forgets that Dave Chappelle is in this as a killer who kills himself by jumping out of the airplane on a bomb. I am convinced that Con Air is actually satire. Jamie and I have rewatched this twice. And it is so preposterous. It is so ridiculous. So absurd. With Nicolas Cage being just absolutely not at all convincing that he's from the South. Right? Just the worst Southern accent. Which actually makes me love it. I mean, I'm from the South. I know Southern accents. And how are you doing, darling? I sent you some ho-hos and cupcakes. I mean, it's just like not even trying almost. But I actually love it because it's so bad in terms of the Southern accent. And the rest of the movie is just completely ridiculous. There's nothing about that movie at all sensible. Thus, it has to be a satire of all 90s blockbuster action movies. And if it's a satire of 90s blockbuster action movies, then it's actually kind of genius. So that's my argument on that. Another runner-up for comedy. It doesn't make it into my top 10. But my bros and I in the 1990s, we liked this movie. We watched it a lot. I'm sure we had many doobies where we watched this movie. And I do appreciate many Coen Brothers movies. I do think they make really good movies. I haven't liked the last few Coen Brothers movies that well. I know a lot of people really like Burn After Reading. I thought it was okay. It's just... But, and probably some people are a little surprised on this one, but Big Lebowski is a honorable mention, but does not make it into my top 10. Hey, man, I mean, like, you know, it's just your opinion, man. But when I wear that thing and I have my hair down, I do kind of have a Lebowski. I had the dude vibe a little bit. So maybe the Big Lebowski impacted me more than I've even realized. All right, so my favorite 90s movies. Let's get into my favorites. And again, we got a lot of... Hey, man. We got a lot of good discussions. Half Baked is funny. Yeah, Dave Chappelle, Jim Brewer. That's a good one. But I'm going to have to say that... And it's hard to pick 90s movies because on the one hand you want to pick... Do you pick the movies from the 90s that you liked the most in the 90s? Or do you pick the 90s movies that you now look back and like the most, you see? So this is a little more my present day 90s picks, right? Because I'm sure if you asked me in the 1990s what my favorite 90s movies were, I would be embarrassed for the list. I don't even know what it would be. I mean... You know, between 1992 and 1998, I'm sure that list would have been completely different because I would have been, it's like going from like 8th grade to being a senior, right? So, Three Ninjas, oh, you guys are reminding me of, so my little brother, right? That was the thing about the 1990s is like you only had a couple options of, you know, between you and your brother when you go to Blockbuster or to the rental store. Like, you know, my little brother gets to pick out a movie and I get to pick out a movie. And the bad part is that he's going to pick out one of 3 movies that I will have to watch over and over and over because every time we go to the movie rental store, he will pick one of those 3. So he's going to pick Little Ninjas. He's going to pick Master of the Universe. He's going to pick Cool Runnings, all of which I hate, but I have seen a million times. Because if I had to pick a movie, he gets to pick a movie too. So I'm over here picking Dune, you know, Blue Velvet or so, I don't know what. And he's picking freaking Cool Runnings. And I'm having to watch, Ninja Turtles. Thank you, yes. My brother picked Ninja Turtles. He picked Double Dragon. What? He picked Mighty Ducks. I had to watch Mighty Ducks. Basically, everything that you guys are putting in the chat, my brother picked and I had to watch. Because he would have to watch. He could either go first or I could go first. And usually I'd just be like, yeah, he can go first. And so I would go to something else because I just didn't want to see Master of the Universe for the 20th time. And I would always try to bargain with my brother. Like, dude, please, can you... Look, I will... pull you in your wagon if you will please don't pick Cool Runnings again. And then of course he picks Cool Runnings. So Home Alone, he didn't pick Home Alone that many times. I did see Home Alone a lot, but he didn't pick it. He did pick Ninja Turtles, unfortunately, a lot. For whatever reason, he did have Sandlot on VHS, but he didn't play that much. Man, you guys are all over. This is like a 90s, just like... This is a 90s festival in the freaking chat. Dune is one of my favorite 80s movies. Yep. Uh-oh, there we go. Shout out to Gorilla Biscuits because he nailed one of my 90s picks. Now, why is this in my 90s picks? Well, it's the one quasi-comedy that made it, except for maybe Zoolander. And that's just because we thought at the time that this was so cool. We thought that when this indie movie came out, that it kind of opened the door for the possibility of, hey, maybe we could have an indie movie that we make one day, and maybe it could be this kind of a movie. So we were entranced, not just by the film itself, which was an enjoyable, fun, independent comedy, but also that it got made like this, and it was made very cheap, and it was a huge hit, and that is, of course, Vince Vaughn's Swingers. Everybody thought this movie was just cool as F. And Vince Vaughn was cool. So all the dudes thought, dude, we got to be like freaking Vince Vaughn. That guy is so money. He's so money he doesn't even know it. Right? Everybody would be quoting Swingers from that point on. All the dudes in high school, bro, you're so money and you don't even know it. Right? So my first pick for top 10 of the 90s is the classic independent comedy dramedy Swingers with Vince Vaughn. And I think the 90s were the end of like cool bass guys in Hollywood, because you got Vince Vaughn, you've got, you know, Mel Gibson. We could class Jamie Kennedy, maybe, except Jamie Kennedy is more of 2000s. I mean, yeah, Scream is like the, you know, classic end of the 90s, but and a Scream, by the way, is part of the honorable mentions. It's just not one of my favorite movies, but I love it. I've always liked Scream. I remember we went to see Scream twice in the theater because we also thought it was such a good meta, right, portrayal of horror movies. So I was always a huge Scream fan, but it doesn't make it into my top 10 of the 90s because Scream is, by the way, pretty much a kind of a comedy too. Next up, we could call this kind of a comedy, and it makes it into my top 10 because for whatever reason, I had this VHS and I loved it, and it made me think, if Sam Raimi could do this, I could do this, right? So I've always wanted to make movies. I always wanted to make a film. And one of the films that inspired me to want to make a film was Sam Raimi's Army of Darkness. Now, yes, of course, Evil Dead 2 are classics, but Evil Dead is 80s. Evil Dead 2 is a remake of Evil Dead, and it's also, I think, late 80s. But Army of Darkness is early 90s, 1993, and amongst kind of, you know, non-corporate, non-big, you know, blockbuster pop stuff, in the 1990s, this was considered a very fun, you know, kind of, this was alt filmmaking at the time. And Sam Raimi wasn't really big yet, right? I mean, he would actually go on to do Spider-Man after this, but there was still this idea that you could make independent-ish movies, because I think Evil Dead was his student film. Evil Dead 2 was a remake of it to have a kind of a B movie in the theaters. And then he, you know, graduated to actually making a full-on production, which is fun. And, you know, Ash is a great character. So, shout out to my second top 10. And that is Sam Raimi's Army of Darkness. Next up is, and these are in no order. There's no way to order these. But if you do want to support the stream, by the way, you can do so through the Super Chat function. Leave me a Super Chat via Streamlabs. We already had a great, amazing $100 Super Chat. Really appreciate that. That kind of pays for the evening. But if you feel generous as we stroll through the 90s, you can leave me a streamer. Yeah, Darkman. I like Darkman, except it didn't make it into like top 10 90s. But I remember it was fun, and that was there was a period where it looked like you know, he was probably going to make it to being A-list leading man status with Bruce Campbell, but nobody ever knows why he didn't actually go make it to full, because it like everything was right there, and he should have kind of been a leading man of the 90s. But you know, word is he's actually a really cool, nice guy in person. I think we sent him an email a while back, and he did reply, and he said he's not able to do interviews at this time, but maybe down the road. So maybe one day we'll get a good conversation with Bruce Campbell. That would be a lot of fun. Yeah, I do have to say, Spidey Sense, I appreciate that. Casino is my favorite mob movie, and it is an honorable mention for 90s. It didn't make it into my top 10 though, only because I didn't like Casino in the 90s. I remember going to see it in the theater and it put me to sleep. But I also was kind of an idiot, and I didn't know anything about the real world. And although I liked gangster movies and, you know, Goodfellas and this kind of stuff, I just didn't really understand what Scorsese was trying to say with Casino. Now I love Casino. It's my favorite mafia movie, right up there with Godfather. But yeah, Bruce Campbell was great in a lot of films. Next up is, you're probably not surprised about this one, but I think you had to really be in the 90s to understand why this was such nobody had ever seen anything like this, right? There's certain epochs in movie making where the concept and the visual execution are so good and so unique and so new that it blows people away, right? When people saw, 2001, whether you like the movie or not, just the effects and seeing this, the spaceship and all that, and Bowman. I mean, the cinematography and the imagery is just so, like, nobody had seen anything like that. So it kind of blew people away. And this is like that just from a cinematic perspective. I mean, nobody had seen the kind of camera shots, which now are kind of corny, but we thought The Matrix was just mind-blowing. I mean, in 98 when it came out, we went to see this. It was just like, wow, that was crazy. I've never seen a movie like that. We've never seen, and they actually had pretty experimental new techniques they were using with, like, they had a whole bunch of cameras that would film, right, as somebody, jumped up in the air and did their goofy thing or whatever. But looking back, it's like, yeah, it was pretty neat. And The Matrix has its moments, especially the first one. I think the second one is actually still a good movie, but The Matrix, as we know, just like each installment just takes a whole step down. And the third Matrix movie, not that great. The recent Matrix movie, ugh, jeez, dude, ouch, right? But we covered that at the time, so anyway. But we have to give some props to The Matrix, right? I mean, we have basically, it was that special time when the internet was just kind of becoming more popular and in more places, right? Because in 1995, 96, like, internet was still, that's dork crap. You go to the library to get on the internet. That's lame, dude. But by 1998, people were starting to get the internet in their house with the dial-up, right? So it was getting more popular, and people were thinking more about the internet. And Keanu had already been in these very Neo-ish roles, right? Like Johnny Mnemonic, it's very similar. He's wearing the black tie and the outfits, and it's like kind of probably what inspired this role. So, and we didn't really know what Gnosticism was. Nobody knew what Gnosticism was in 1998. We didn't know what Platonism was. So it was just kind of like, yeah, like, cool. What if there's virtual reality? And then everybody thought that, like, the internet will be virtual reality. And here we are, like, 20 freaking 5 years later or whatever, 26 years later. It's like, nobody's in virtual reality, right? I mean, maybe it's coming with this Apple goggle thing people are wearing that looks ridiculous to me. Maybe they're going to come out with some version of it. But, I mean, we're still not in The Matrix. And The Matrix now actually seems kind of lame. You know what I mean? It sounds like not at all as cool as what the movie portrayed it to be. Even though the movie portrays it as a prison, I know. But you know what I mean, right? Like, everybody thinks, oh, it's going to be so cool because, like, I can put my virtual reality goggles on and, like, I automatically know, like, Taekwondo or whatever. And, like, it would be just, like, really hot chicks walking around, and, like, oh, I can do whatever I want. And it's not like that, right? So a lot of the predictive stuff, we have to admit, totally fails and is not at all. There's no freaking floating skateboards, right? Everybody from the 80s thought, oh man, can you imagine what it's going to be like in 2024? We'll have freaking Marty McFly floating skateboards. No floating skateboards. Okay. Do we have anything cool from the 80s, 90s movies that we thought we would have? Can you guys think of anything actually cool that we do have? Remember Strange Days? I mean, I think we're going into a 90s dystopia more like Strange Days. It's not the freaking Matrix. Because, I mean, the Matrix is a nightmare hellhole. And we're all battery pods, coon pods. We're batteries in coon pods, basically, right? In the Matrix. But at least the Matrix is like actually cool, and you can, I don't know, hack the Matrix, and you know there's glitches or whatever, and you can be Neo and stop bullets and shit. But no, we're not getting any of that. We're getting what, Ray Fine and Strange Days. You know what I mean? which was, I fell asleep. I remember going to see Strange Days in the theater, and I remember falling asleep in the theater. So, although it is not that good of a movie, if you remember, the Matrix in Strange Days, this is a lot more realistic as to what type of Matrix we're actually getting. You know what I mean? This is straight up 1995, right? You got frickin' Ray Fine looking like Matthew McConaughey. You got, is it Angela Bassett? Remember her? Angela Bassett. No, he looks like Bradley Cooper. Look, frickin' Ray Fine in 1995 is Bradley Cooper in 2005. Straight up, dude. Look at that. So in this film, the Matrix is this dumbass headgear that you put on. And it's, whoa, it's the Matrix. And look, we got mini disc. Remember mini discs? Like they thought that the future that we would still be using mini discs. Like, so in 1995, they thought 2025 would be like, dude, what's like the most futuristic thing? Freaking mini discs, right? So like, you know about CDs? Remember those? Like, what if a CD by the year 2025, it's not this big, it's this big. So the future is from this to this. Okay, way off, way off. By the way, what did I pull out? I pulled out one of my top CDs in the mid 90s. Early Underground by Moby. Absolutely. Yes. I remember when I heard my friend, one of my movie buff friends playing this Moby that he got from his brother who went to a rave, right? Oh, my brother just got back from a rave in Chicago. What's he got? He's got this Moby tape. Moby? What the heck is a Moby tape? I put this on. I was like, whoa. And I knew right there I was super duper hooked on techno. I had already heard some techno, but Moby made me fall in love with techno. And yes, Moby is super vegan goober. But in the 1990s, we didn't know what vegan was. I don't even know if Moby was a vegan in 1995. But we thought his techno was just like, we'd never heard anything like that. That was so cool. But the Matrix world that we're going into is actually going to be this weird, dumb, boring Matrix world of Ray Fine in Strange Days, which also is not a very good movie. And it is Angela Bassett. I thought I was correct. I think Jamie, did we do Strange Days? I think we did, because it's one of the dystopias. Anyway. Thank you guys for that super chat there. Terry77 sends $5, says, did you ever read The Invisibles by Grant Morrison? It's got some very wild stuff in it. Now, that's funny because Jamie has read The Invisibles, and we were just talking about that tonight because of the his talk on ritual magic, which Cotel covered tonight, and which also I had heard many years ago too. And yeah, there's always been a weird influence in the comic book world from the occult and ritual magic, particularly Crowleyan stuff. So, you know, you've got Grant Morrison and his interest in chaos magic. You've got Alan Moore and his deep interest in Aleister Crowley, which spills over into Watchmen, into V for Vendetta, etc. From Hell as well. So, but I have not actually read anything from Grant Morrison. And I have a buddy who became a comic book artist, and he's one of the movie buff buddies that I'm talking about. And we went to many comic book conventions, and actually, because he was trying to get hired, so I would go with him. And this was in that period before comic books became what they are now. So if you remember in the 1990s, there was a lot of Comic Cons, Chicago, San Diego. Now they're everywhere, but there weren't that many back then. And we went to a comic convention in the early mid 2000s, about 2005, and there were people, interestingly, at the Chicago Comic Convention, even then, in about 2005, promoting ritual magic at the convention. So this might have been. It might have even been promoting Grant Morrison's stuff. So, but that would depend on whether that was out at that time. But I remember specifically on the flyer in 2005, and I knew what ritual magic was. I didn't know that much about that kind of stuff. I was, anti-occult, but when did that come out? Let's see, because that might be around that time. Hell, he might have even been at that comic convention in 2005. Let's see. Grant Morrison. Batman? No. Okay, there's too many, so I'm just going to have to look up Invisibles. Ooh, interesting. So this is 90s. Okay, so he probably was at... That's probably who was promoting the ritual magic at the Chicago Comic Con in 2005. I wonder if I could pull that up. It might have been 2006. I don't remember. $3,099. No. And this is relevant because Kotel was just talking about this. San Diego Comic Con. Remember Wizard magazine? Wizard World. Does that still exist? I don't even know. Yeah, I don't know. Nobody remembers the 2005 except for these mega dorks. 2005 Comic Con. But yeah, they were promoting ritual magic even at the 2005-6 Chicago Comic Con. Oh, and by the way, for those that are wondering, that's where the interaction with the Beastmaster happened. Boom. So y'all have heard my Beastmaster story. I've told it many times. I'm not going to tell it again. But my encounter with Mark Singer, where he insisted on me writing him a check for $5 for a picture, which I didn't know it was going to cost $5 to get a picture. That was, and then I wrote the check to Beastmaster. One of my favorite stories. That was at the same Comic-Con where they were pushing the ritual magic. So there you go. All right, look, we're going to get into the next 5 or 6 of my top 10 90s movies. But I have to remind you guys, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to grab my picture while we look at this. I'm going to grab my picture of me confronting and arguing with Mark Singer, the Beastmaster, so that you know that this story is actually true. Supporting evidence for this story. But before we go to that, I want to remind you that we have a sponsor, the most beige red pill company on the internet. That's right, chalk.com, baby.
I'm gonna put you on something crazy real quick. Most of these Zoomer gym bros are consuming macro-guzzling synthetic dyes and synthetic sweeteners on the daily. They don't even know it. Goofy AF. There's nothing great about that. Do not listen any further unless you are an alpha or sigma male. This is important and there could be consequences. There's a new certified sigma male pre-workout powder for sigmas only. It is guaranteed to empower you to dominate your co-workers, fire your boss, aggressively gamble, or invade a small village. Chad Mode stands out from the crowd by excluding artificial flavors, preservatives, sweeteners, and dyes. We've even avoided so-called natural flavors, which are actually not natural at all, ensuring a clean and effective formula. Experience the pure goodness of Chad Mode, colored with organic blue spirulina extract. organic lemon, cherry, and organic maple crystals. Forget synthetic caffeine made in a sketchy Chinese lab. Embrace the natural power of organic green coffee bean extract, which will get your mind going and pump you up to the max. Chad Mode is made in America with all clean ingredients, the first clean pre-workout of its kind. Why are these people adding synthetic sweeteners to every single pre-workout when there are many studied downsides to consuming nasty fake sucralose? Each dose of Chad Mode contains the kick of a cup and a half of coffee, delivering a surge of energy alongside essential vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and herbal extracts. Chad Mode will allow you to fire your boss and dominate anyone who opposes you. Chad Mode will make you more dominant in your daily life, so proceed with caution. It's as simple as mixing 1 or 2 scoops of our fine powder into water or juice, providing you with a delicious, energizing beverage featuring a burst of sweet organic fruit flavor. Chad Mode will give you the extra edge you desperately crave. Don't miss out. Secure your supply of Chad Mode on TikTok Shop with a limited time massive discount. Elevate your workouts and supercharge your days. Chad Mode, not for your average gym bro zoomer who consumes synthetic blue dyes on the daily. Buy on the TikTok Shop now with a massive discount provided by TikTok. I'm gonna put you on something crazy real quick. Most of these zoomer...
All right, we're back, and you're in luck. I did actually dig out 100% infallible proof of my confrontation with Mark Singer at the very comic convention that I told you about. There you go. There's me with the Beastmaster in 2005. Let's see what year this is, actually. 2004. Okay. So I actually did write on the back of this. It has a date. 2004. There's me. There's your boy. Getting a big smile on with Beastmaster. And that led to the sassy confrontation. Give me my $5. And I said, what? I'm like, Beastmaster just demanding $5 from me? Well, for what? Because you took a picture with me. I didn't know it was $5 to take a picture with you. He says, that's convention standard. I'm like, dude, I don't go to these damn things. I'm not a nerd. He's like, well, it's still $5. I said, well, do you take checks? And he's like, you didn't bring cash? I said, no, I'm not buying any of this nerd crap. And then he's like, because I actually didn't like this. I'm there with my friend. I'm not there because I'm into this stuff, right? One of my best friends trying to get hired as a comic book artist. So I would go with him. And I thought these things were hilarious because it was just like the nerdiest nerds ever. Whole place smells like butt, right? Like a damn Funko Pop convention. And Mark Singer is like, it's still $5. And I'm like, do you take checks? And he's like, you can write me a check. And I'm like, all right. And I write my check to the Beastmaster. So it's one of my favorite stories. There you see it as true. And also, I did a very similar thing where I thought it would be funny in the first time I ever went to one of these. And it's like John Delancey, right? Freaking Q from Star Trek is just walking around. And so I thought it would be funny to make faces at Q. So there you see 1996 J making funny faces at Q. Right? Do you guys even know who Q is? So there you go. So that I would have fun at these. I was trolling these conventions, if you know what I mean. So that's the 1990s and the 2004 Comic-Con. So now that we know that it's 2004, maybe we could figure out if Grant Morrison was at the 2004. But anyway, who cares? Let's move on. Next movie. We got to do it. I know you probably all are mad at me for choosing this, but this had such an impact in the 1990s. There's just no way to not have this on your 90s list. I mean, and I don't even particularly enjoy this movie that much. I like other of his movies, but it's just such a huge 90s movie. It's almost just got to be on the list. And yes, I know it is Pulp Fiction. So even though I'm sure a lot of people nowadays hate Quentin Tarantino, if you were a dude in the 90s and you like movies, You had to like Tarantino. He was just the coolest filmmaker in the 1990s. Now you're all thinking, what about the feet jokes? What about the feet? Nobody knew this in the 90s. I didn't know what his freaking foot fetish was. I had no idea. Dude, I'm shutting your butt down. You want to talk about my foot fetish? Okay, let's talk about foot fetish. Your foot fetish is gay. Mine is good. Okay, I'm shutting your butt down. That is a pretty good Tarantino. Is it not? Give me credit where credit's due. That's a pretty good Tarantino. We didn't know he was into freaking stinky feet in the 90s or whatever. So look, we just thought, dude, nobody made a movie like this in the 1990s. It was like, wow. And we liked Reservoir Dogs. Reservoir Dogs is a little over the top for me. It's kind of gross. It's too violent for me. Pulp Fiction is also kind of gross, but it has. I mean, it's a good movie. it's in pretty much everybody's. You know, if anybody has 100 greatest films list, Pulp Fiction is in the top 10. You know, so credit where credit's due. Also out of the 90s. He actually makes 3 of my 90s list. And that is, as you guessed, David Lynch. Yes, 3 of my favorite films by 90s filmmakers are David Lynch. And when I do my David Lynch impression, half the people don't even know who I'm talking about. I guess that's because if you're Zoomer, people just don't know. But again, who in our circles dominated? Quentin Tarantino, David Lynch. I mean, in the 1990s, in cool, if you liked cool filmmakers, you have to like David Lynch. There's just no way around it. I didn't actually like Lost Highway at the time. However, I do like Lost Highway quite a bit now, and it is in my top 10. So, Wild at Heart, peak, excellent Nick Cage. Actually, Nick Cage as Sailor, he's excellent in this. Great comedic acting. Great Laura Dern is excellent. Willem Dafoe, great villain. This is an amazing satire movie. I appreciate and actually think that Wild at Heart is funnier the more I see it. So, not for kids. So I don't recommend everybody watch Wild at Heart if you're sensitive to certain things. But man, Wild at Heart, it just gets better with time. Also on my top 10, not because it's that great of a 90s movie itself. I do think it's a good 90s movie, but because I did end up eventually becoming more and more of a David Lynch fan. I mean, in the 1990s, Dune was one of my favorite movies. I didn't like Lost Highway at the time, and I didn't like Twin Peaks at the time. However, I changed my mind, and Twin Peaks eventually became, as you guys know, one of my favorites. It's a J classic. So I have to put Fire Walk with Me on my top 10 90s movies, as well as Lost Highway. I know you're probably thinking, well, Lost Highway is so dark, it's so weird, and it's so kind of... Yes, I admit that. But if you go back and watch it, and if you read my in-depth analysis, which I don't think I put that in any of the books. So maybe I did put Mulholland Drive in. So maybe in Esoteric Hollywood 3, you'll get a new Lynch treatment, a new Lynch essay. Maybe. And I'm saying obviously I would rewrite the Lost Highway essay, which, I mean, I wrote that, probably 10, 12 years ago. So I'm sure it's definitely in need of like a reworking for sure. But yes, it's still here. So look at that. What do you know? You can go to Jay's analysis and you can still read the Lost Highway essay. So I'll put that in the chat for you guys. Definitely a classic of Jay's analysis. So there is my Lost Highway analysis if you guys want to read that tonight. But we got 3 left for my 4 for my top 90s. Yes, in the domain of 90s Bond movies, I have to put a Bond movie on my top 10, and it has to be, you probably guessed it, it has to be, where is it at? It has to be World's Not Enough. It never gets old to me. I mean, it's so absurd. But if you think about it, actually all of the Pierce Brosnan ones are absurd. The most absurd, of course, is the Halle Berry installment, which is still a lot of fun. I love to watch all of the Pierce Brosnan ones. GoldenEye, which is about a gigantic EMP weapon, which I've always found interesting. So for all the people who want to talk about EMPs all the time, well, go watch GoldenEye, right? But the one with what's his name, Elliot Carver? Is it Elliot Carver? Right, the Jonathan Pryce villain character about the media baron. That one's not that great of a movie. But come on, The World Is Not Enough. I mean, this is the best of the 90s Bond. Easy, right? I mean, you've got basically lesbian nuclear scientists, right? Denise Richards is a lesbian nuclear scientist. What? I mean, just completely preposterous. But James Bond is the only dude with the machismo that he could actually convert a lesbian nuclear scientist, Denise Richards, to being straight. Right? I mean, it's so ridiculous. And that's actually a throwback to Pussy Galore with Sean Connery, right? But, I mean, you've got an orthodox villain, an explicitly orthodox Christian villain, which I know you might think, well, but Jay, don't you think? No, it's so dumb that I actually like it, right? A femme fatale, Sophie Marceau, false flagging her pipelines, Nord Stream style. Not that I think that Putin did Nord Stream. I think it was the CIA. I'm just saying, like, the plot is so preposterous. And so, like now, with pipelines getting false flagged, I mean, come on. How could you not like The World Is Not Enough? Plus, the garbage song is awesome. One of my favorite Bond songs. I mean, this is just peak 90s. And she's got a former KGB anarchist. What? Right? Who is her hitman, who can't feel pain because he's got a bullet lodged in his brain. I mean, it's just so dumb. Everything about this is so stupid, but it is so awesome. So absolutely 100%. And people were asking, what's your weird thumbnail for this? It's the frickin' scene where Sophie Marceau, Carmen Electra, who has an Electra complex. Not Carmen Electra. Excuse me. What's her name? King. She has an Electra complex. Not Carmen Electra. But... which is stupid Freudian stuff, but that's funny too, because Bond movies are full of these dumb Freudian references, right? What's her freaking name? I just went like, it's King. And so she's a great Bond villain. I mean, she's the best femme fatale Bond villain ever. And her character is completely ridiculous as well. She's mad at Judi Dench because Judi Dench, you know, and her father didn't work out, and they British intelligence utilized her as a bait to catch somebody, and now she's gonna do the same thing and use Judi Dench as bait, and it's just great, right? But it's so preposterous and it's so over the top, and the fact that it includes orthodoxy and the propaganda is so low tier to make her an Orthodox Christian oil baron villain who false flags her own pipelines. I mean, to me, that's just crazy. But like predictive. But it's not the Orthodox that bomb their pipelines. It's right. We know what's going on. Nord Stream pipeline, CIA. We know what's going on. But this movie, I don't know. It just blows my mind. And who's a better femme fatale Bond girl? Madonna? Of course not. If you remember, Madonna is one of the, well, I don't know if I guess she's kind of a femme fatale. In that one, it's Halle Berry versus, what's her face? The blonde British actress girl. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. It's it's Famke Janssen in GoldenEye. It's, I don't remember who the femme fatale is in the one with Jonathan Pryce, but anyway, yeah, I mean, this is the best Bond movie from the 90s, absolutely. Jay, I'm an Orthodox inquirer for many months. I've been visiting Orthodox Church. Testosterone Tyrannosaurus, $10. That's an interesting name. I live in Tennessee. I was wondering what church you attended when you lived there. Well, I'm not going to tell everybody where I go to church, so not going to do that. But, it just really depends on where in Tennessee you are. I mean, I don't know anything about East Tennessee. Tennessee's a pretty long, skinny state. So my whole life is basically West Tennessee, and and Nashville for me is still West Tennessee. So I don't know anything about East Tennessee churches or what's over there. I've been to, like, people in West Tennessee. Like, the only reason you ever go to East Tennessee is, one, if you're going to college at UT Knoxville, which a lot of people do. It's a gigantic school. Or you are going to Gatlinburg and Dollywood. That's it. There's no other reasons to go to East Tennessee. So, which Gatlinburg and Dollywood is like redneck Las Vegas. Okay, so that's why you're going to vacations to get married in Vegas-style chapels in Gatlinburg, or you're going for go-karts in Gatlinburg. I mean, it's literally like, redneck Vegas. But no gambling. So it's like family-friendly redneck Vegas with no gambling. I don't know. Maybe they do have gambling in East Tennessee. I don't even know. You might also go if you're skiing, right? I don't really do snow skiing, but if you're a West Tennessee person and you want to snow ski, then you got to go to East Tennessee for the mountains. But look, I've done Tennessee streams for you guys, and for whatever reason, a lot of people, when they move to Tennessee, they immediately want to go to East Tennessee, right? I don't know. Maybe it's safer in the mountains, but look, to Tennessee people, that's hillbilly, right? So literal, actual quote hillbilly. That's the mountain people, dude. And you might think, well, you're all weird because you're all dumb rednecks. And yes, probably we are. But amongst Southern folk, we are all also very prejudiced against one another. Not really, but sort of. Right? Like Tennessee people are like, man, them Georgia boys, right? And we can tell a Georgia person's accent. And when I hear a Georgia person's accent, it's very different from Tennessee. We've done whole streams on this. You guys know this, right? The Georgia drawl. Somebody talks like this, they're from Georgia. That means they're a judge. And they are a good Southern judge from Georgia who's going to put your ass in jail, son. You've been denying the law. That is not how a person from Tennessee talks like this. Tennessee's very tight, very inside, talk like this here. Tennessee. I'm a boy from Tennessee. I grew up in Tennessee, son. Georgia. Tennessee. Georgia. Tennessee. See the difference? That's why the joke is always, like Georgia talk is like molasses. Molasses coming out your mouth real slow like. That's Georgia. In West Tennessee, right? That's Nashville, Memphis, right? Dude, I don't know nothing about hill people. Okay, you want to talk about East Tennessee? Dude, East Tennessee, you see, that's getting up in the mountains with like the Appalachia people, isn't it? I mean, I don't even know them. I don't even know the mountains. I don't go to the damn mountains. I don't like the mountains. Why would I go to the mountains? I'm going to show you what I mean, okay? The East Tennessee hill people, man, they're something else. Didn't Johnny Knoxville like make a whole documentary about that dude that... Remember the tap dancing dude that Johnny Knoxville made famous for like 10 minutes? He made a whole documentary about Jesse. Remember this? Jesse, the tap dancing East Tennessee hill person. Man, you want to talk about redneck, dude, or like country people, dude. Like, whoa. Now, let's see. I don't know if this is Tennessee. Everybody's always play this Appalachia clip. It's a famous clip. You guys have probably seen it, right? This has nothing to do with the 90s, but now I'm thinking about Tennessee. But that's okay. Everybody loves these rabbit trails we go on. Y'all have seen this, right? It's a famous clip. It's gone around for many years. But I don't even know where these people are. They may not even be in Tennessee. North Carolina? Let's see what it says. Southern Appalachia Hill people. Now listen to the way these people talk, man. That they don't even. It's like another language, and so, like it's so weird that university people study these people. I'm serious. Let me show you what I mean.
But you wanted to put in a paper bag, you put in a paper poke, you know, instead of a paper bag. Well, the way people
Doesn't this dude have a name? He's Popcorn, isn't it? Isn't his name Popcorn?
talk around here, I guess it'd be what more like you call hillbilly style or something, I guess.
See? Now that is Tennessee hillbilly people. Okay, that's like, what? That's what I'm talking about. That's the hill people. Okay, there's no hill people around here. There's good old boys, rednecks. Like the redneck around here is more like a cowboy kind of person, right? Like a dude that wears ropers and wranglers and even sometimes cowboy hats, right? That's the kind of thing you would see around West Tennessee. But these hill people, man, it's like, whoa, dude.
I don't know, this mountain talk.
It's like, isn't that the character on King of the Hill, right? The guy that you can't understand. I haven't seen that much King of the Hill, but isn't there a guy who just speaks that way? And like, I mean, that's like all the hill people of Tennessee are that guy.
Most of your local people have your mountain talk. That's the way you can tell the mountain people from your outsiders by their language they use.
Exactly. See, they don't even speak the same language. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, when you get East Tennessee, not everybody in East Tennessee. Obviously, if you go to Knoxville, it's like any other big city. But, I mean, I don't even freaking know these damn mountains. I try to stay away from the boodaddies and the boogers and the haints. And that's like actually what they call the ghosts of those. I'm not joking. It's like they're called haints, boodaddies, boogers. What's the other one? Boohags. Yes. And the hill people, man, they believe in these things. They got damn real ghosts up there in the mountains that you got to. If you whistle in the mountains, the haints will come get you. So now I got to see where the freaking Appalachians are. It's North Carolina. Does it run to Tennessee though? I'm embarrassing myself because I don't know the mountain ranges around here. Okay, yes. Okay, so Appalachians does go through Tennessee, get all the way down to Alabama. Okay, so I'm right. So these hill folk here, they could be anywhere.
Say, I'll see you over yonder.
So here's a preacher up there in the hills. Probably a Baptist preacher. I mean, this looks like a Baptist preacher. This is literally like every Baptist preacher is this guy. Right? So if you're in the South, basically this is every preacher. Okay, this is not even restricted to Baptist. Dude. This is like every Church of Christ preacher, Baptist preacher has a large gunt and a red or a green colored sport coat and a tie with a damn fish on it or something.
Be like in Winesville.
A tie with a bass on it, right? This is literally every Baptist Church of Christ preacher in all of the South right here.
It's a mountaintop kind of.
Never, nothing stops. It's like a singing, you know. We're kind of like we're singing. Lita said we're singing, not talking, you know.
Yeah, I like my moped.
I like my moped. So now you see what I'm talking about. That's East Tennessee, boys. That's the hill folk. Now there's a dude in here that's funny where he starts talking about rats. He talks about all the different words they have for stuff. And half these people you can't even understand it. So here we go.
There's just somebody coming up with a strange word is what it means. I mean, let's say you're trying to get something done. You're building something. And you take a look at it, like the word Saigoglin. You're looking at it, and it's all out of line. And you just might come up with the word Saigoglin.
I've heard country folk actually say, "That's all a shy goggling." That means it's all out of whack. So this one is one I've heard. He calls rats boomers. I've never heard of a rat called a boomer.
I do that myself. I can't think of anything right off, but I come up with a lot of new words myself. And so you get somebody standing around to hear that, and okay,
it's like slang, right? People think black people got the market on slang. No cap busting. Nah, dude, it's like goggling.
She used words like peckerwood. If there's somebody she didn't like, she'd call
He's a peckerwood.
him a peckerwood. Yeah.
That is definitely that's a universally Southern term, peckerwood for sure.
If there's somebody she didn't know, but he's probably all right. She didn't have any animosity for him. She'd say he is a Jasper. There's this Jasper come by here this morning. I knocked on the door, you know. But if it's a salesman, there's this peckerwood out there on the porch.
It's like
Peckerwood's on the porch.
You go in the store, say put it in the bag. Old people say you put it in the poke.
that's a bag. I used to go to the store, walk 2 miles to the store, and when I was a kid, and carry a 25-pound poke of flour home. That's
I have heard older redneck folk, they will say poke. That's one
flour,
for sure.
by the way,
Yeah.
not flour.
And me and my 2 sisters and 1 brother.
That's a damn hill person right there. That's a hill. That's a hill dude right there.
We'd be waiting on them at the house to get our candy.
That's a old coot from the hills right there.
The older man I was talking about had a little poke of candy. He said, well, I forgot to get anything. Boy, we'd scream. Oh, here it is.
Plum was a common word when I was growing. Plum this and plum that.
Plum crazy.
Plum over there. Well, he was just plumb wore out.
That copper mine, that vein, they tunneled under the ground, plumb out through here to Snowbird.
Like the wind was blowing. You know, a lot of air. They would say it's very Irish outside.
Irish, it means it's a little bit chilly outside.
Yes, that's definitely one I've heard. See, the hill people, their terminology is like, it's trickle down, you know, redneck economics or something. It's trickling down to the rest of Tennessee for sure. Anyway, that's enough of that. How do we get on this? Oh, who is that dude that Johnny Knoxville made famous? By the way, is Johnny Knoxville from Knoxville? Did I just figure that out? Is that how he knew who that hill person was? Do you know what I'm talking about? Does anybody know? He did a documentary on Jesse, the redneck or the hill person tap dancer. I always thought this was a bizarre thing. Well, that's not pulling up what I'm thinking of. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? Jesco White. Thank you. I got it wrong. Jesco. And I don't know. This just came to my head. Is he a hill? He's a hill person, but I don't know which hills he's from. We got a lot of international audience. Here we go. Jesco. This is him. Dancing Outlaw. But what was his connection to Johnny Knoxville? Play his boombox and tap dance. This is just a crazy dude. And he always wore these kind of Elvis-looking outfits.
And I like that name better. It's easy to spell and easy to understand.
They call me the Miracle Woman. I am Jesco White's mother. And I have raised him from a little boy. He's always stayed with me
all his life until he met his Norma Jean White. That's when he was about 18 years old.
My name is Norma Jean White, and I'm Jessica White's wife.
My life in my younger days is break and enter a grocery store. I've sniffed a lot of gas.
Anyway, that's the hill people, dude. So it ain't like that around here. There's no hill people. We think hill people are crazy. Life goals, exactly. By the way, so Johnny Knoxville is from Knoxville. And what was the connection to Jesco? I know there was something between Johnny Knoxville and Jesco. I didn't know Johnny Knoxville was from Knoxville, but I guess that makes sense. Let's see. I thought he made a documentary. The Wild, Wonderful Whites of West Virginia. Is that a Johnny Knoxville documentary? Or is he just in it? Music by Hank III. Interesting. Director Julian Nisberg. Okay, that's not Johnny Knoxville. Oh, Dancing Outlaw. He's completely over the edge. Y'all know? Oh, did he do a documentary called The Whites of West Virginia? Oh, the stupid thing won't work. Is that his? That's what I'm trying to figure out. There he is. Okay, yeah. Okay, so they remade. I see. So that was an old documentary. And then Johnny Knoxville made Completely Over the Edge. Or he made Wild, Wonderful Whites of West Virginia. Jessica White. Okay, so it's a whole other documentary. We're not going to do all this. This is just a side road that I've tried to... Okay, here it is. Interesting. Executive producer Johnny Knoxville documentary. Ah, okay. Now it makes sense. 11 years ago. Yeah, I remember when this came out. I watched this back in the day. Did y'all watch this?
Can you tell the White family in Boone County and West Virginia?
I'd really rather not comment on that.
When you represent the one,
Throw me in a damn mine shaft up in a garbage bag. I got 3 mine shafts up this hole.
So anyway, this is not what it's like around here. Although you could find some pretty rough looking folk. That's the hill people, dude. Anyway. Where were we at? Oh, movies. That's right. Thank you guys who would hit like and share. We're coming up on a little over 2 hours, but so that counts as my Bond. My favorite of the Bonds there was The World Is Not Enough. And we got a couple more 1990s blockbusters here that have to be. These are probably my top 3. So we're coming down to the wire. Top 3 favorite 90s movies. We gotta have 2 Mels. Gotta have 2 Mels. You probably guessed it. Yes, Braveheart comes in the top 3 in no specific order. Jamie and I rewatched Braveheart recently for our Mel episode. Remember that? We did a Mel episode. That was a lot of fun. And it was Mel Mania. We did Apocalypto after much requesting from the audience. We finally did Apocalypto. We did Conspiracy Theory. Pretty sure we did that. Braveheart, Apocalypto, Conspiracy Theory, Edge of Darkness. Those were a lot of fun. Even with my horrible hair in that transition phase, where my hair was identifying as something else other than what it was, choosing to transition. And yes, Conspiracy Theory definitely gets in my top 10 of the 1990s. Had a huge impact on me that is still being felt today. the mere fact that you are watching me on a live stream talk about 90s movies and conspiracies and Hollywood and on and on and on, you can also thank Mel Gibson for that, because had I never watched conspiracy theory, I might not have ever gone down the rabbit hole of conspiracies. This movie itself got me interested in conspiracy theories. So, 2 shout outs to Mel, dominating the 1990s for sure. And then my other top 3 is Terry Gilliam. Terry Gilliam definitely makes it into my top 10 of the 90s. A movie that I've seen many, many times. Every time I watch it, I like it more. And that is, of course, 12 Monkeys. 12 Monkeys is a perfect film, in my view. Nothing wrong with it. The story, the acting, even Brad Pitt, Bruce Willis, Madeline Stowe. I mean, amazing, right? It has predictive programming. It has philosophic depth. It has Hollywood depth by referring back to Hitchcock. I mean, it's just a great movie all around. And you can't get any better than Time Bandits is 80s, by the way. Yeah, there are multiple good Richard Donner movies. So there you have it. My top 3: Mel Gibson, Braveheart, Conspiracy Theory, and 12 Monkeys, Terry Gilliam. What do you guys think? Did I miss anything? X-Files could be definitely an... I mean, the X-Files, the show is absolutely like, golden tier classic. Jamie and I have done multiple X-Files live streams. We love X-Files for sure. And the X-Files movie in the 90s it's okay. But it doesn't make it to top 90s for me. So it's not in my top 10. It's just a mediocre movie. Which is not to say I don't like it, but it's just mediocre. So, what do you guys think I missed? Sling Blade is okay. I like Sling Blade. It's a little too... Usual Suspects. The thing about Usual Suspects is I didn't watch it in the 90s. I actually waited a long time to watch Usual Suspects. And when I finally did watch it, this made Jamie really mad because Jamie was excited for me to watch it and figure it out. And within about 10 seconds of seeing the shadow and the gait of the figure, I could immediately tell it was Kevin Spacey. I mean, so right away I said it was Kevin Spacey. So that was it. The opening scene where you see the gait and holding the cigar, it's like, that's Kevin Spacey. Yes, Ed Wood is a great film. But it grosses me out. I mean, just the whole, Ed's dressing grosses me out. And, but I do like Tim Burton a lot. And Tim Burton came very close to getting, some 90s. He definitely gets 90s props, but he doesn't make it onto my top 10. 13th Warrior is not actually a good movie. I saw it in the theater. I remember it being really burned into my mind. But a lot of Usual Suspects on here. I'm not a lot of those movies I'm not a fan of, no. The Firm is okay. Jamie and I covered The Firm, but it definitely doesn't make it into my top 10. Jackie Brown is really good. It's underrated. But... was it still? I guess it was late 90s. But it doesn't make it onto the top 10. So, yeah, you guys have a lot of good Operation Dumbo Drop. Ronin, it's all right. Yeah. What I'm asking for is top 10, right? So what's one that you think I missed? Dark City. Yeah, I like Dark City a lot. We did a whole breakdown of Dark City recently. Watched Dark City many, many times. JFK is okay. It's a little slow for my top 10. It's definitely a conspiracy classic. So, not casting any shade. I love Oliver Stone for sure. T2, yeah, T2 probably should have been on the list because it is in, 90, 91, 92. So, definitely giving Scream and T2 honorable mentions for sure. No, come on, no. I thought about Heat. Heat almost got an honorable mention, but it just didn't make it. I don't like Westerns, so even though I've seen Wyatt Earp and Tombstone and Unforgiven, I don't like Westerns. Young Guns, oh my gosh, that was so stupid, right? A lot of people liking Tombstone and Westerns here. Starship Troopers is it's a terrible satire that's actually kind of fun. Yeah, Mission Impossible, really close to being in the top 10. I loved Mission Impossible in the 90s. I remember going to see it. I remember my date. I remember everything about it. It was crazy. Point Break, honorable mention, a lot of fun, but it's stupid. Titanic, come on, dude. I'm not a chick. I'm not going to be crying about frickin' frozen Leos sinking to the bottom of the ocean. Come on. Young Guns. Guys, if you would hit like and share. Stargate, we watched that. It's pretty dumb. It doesn't hold up very well. But Jamie and I did have fun reviewing it, rewatching it. Donnie Brasco, it's a good story. Doesn't make it into the top 10, though. I mean, Point Break is so ridiculous that it's actually fun. Gangs of New York is not 90s. Anyway, yeah. We got Wag the Dog is a good, insightful film, but it's not in my top 10. Terry 77 to $1. Boondock Saints, Malcolm X, Malcolm X because of the agency involvement. Okay. I mean, yeah, that's okay. I'll give you that argument. That's a good argument. Dead Man, I didn't like that. You know, the scene when it comes to the part where he talks about, was it like necro type stuff? It grosses me out, so I didn't like it. But I mean, hey, Johnny Depp was killing it in the 90s. I mean, he was killing it as Captain Jack Sparrow, but I mean, I think Amber Heard really derailed so much of his career, and he ended up vindicated. But a lot of Dead Man fans in the audience. A lot of 12 Monkeys fans. Yeah, Total Recall came up earlier as honorable mention. Goodfellas, honorable mention. You know what? The Cable Guy, I think Cable Guy is funnier than Ace Ventura. Demolition Man is actually great. It's a really dumb movie, but it gets an honorable mention because it was so accurate in its dystopian predictions. So, guys, remember, if you would like access to our books, we have some great books over here at the website. We've got My Esoteric Hollywood 1 and 2. They're all signed copies. We got my lectures that you can get, the classic lectures. Jamie's 2 books as well. My lectures on Tragedy and Hope, all of that. If you don't want to subscribe to the site, you can get signed copies of the books in the shop at Jay's Analysis. The link is in the show description, or I'll put the link in the chat for you right here. You guys kind of acted up a little bit, so we're not going to go to the mall tonight. Maybe next time I'll take you guys to the mall if you're good. We'll do another 90s mall tour like we did a couple nights ago. Everybody had fun with that. Jingle All the Way is one of the worst movies that I think is one of the best movies. So it's completely stupid, but it's so stupid it actually comes out the other side and is actually genius. Jamie and I love watching Jingle All the Way. We cover it every year. Yeah, I don't know, something about Cable Guy. I just thought, you know, Matthew Broderick and Jim Carrey are both really funny in Cable Guy. And, you know, we liked Jim Carrey in the 90s until it started getting annoying. Like by the time of Mask, I was getting over Jim Carrey. But yeah, there's a lot of, you know, the Batmans. I didn't like the Batmans in the 90s. They were so dumb, right? I mean, yeah, James Bond was dumb in the 90s too, but I mean, Ice to See You. I mean, it's like that Batman is actually so awful that it's actually good. And by the way, the Jim Carrey Batman is also good. I mean, it's so dumb, right? Val Kilmer, but because he's mind controlling people with the TV. So you've got some like legit conspiracy stuff in the Jim Carrey Val Kilmer Batman, but the George Clooney Mr. Freeze Batman, oh my gosh, dude, it is so It's like Jingle All the Way. It's so preposterous and bad. It's actually really entertaining. So I love seeing, theatrical release blockbuster type movies that are just completely awful, but actually are then good, right? We mentioned a few of these. Waterworld, The Postman is actually so bad it's good. Jingle All the Way. We've covered Jacob's Ladder. It's not in my top 10. But we did I actually did 2 breakdowns of Jacob's Ladder. Predator did it make it to 1990? Predator is good. It's not in my top 10, but yeah, I think Predator is like 88, so 87, 88, maybe 89. Dude, I'm sorry, JJ, you're wrong. If you go back and watch The Crow, now I don't understand this because in the 1990s, I thought The Crow was awesome. I remember going to the theater. Oh, so cool. Jamie and I tried to watch The Crow last year. We couldn't make it through the second act. It was so bad. We had to turn it off. Bad Lieutenant, amazing, excellent movie. Nick Cage is awesome. He's great in that movie. I don't even like Werner Herzog. That's a great movie. Isn't that a Werner Herzog movie? But is Bad Lieutenant 90s? I don't think it is. Not the Harvey Keitel one. No, see that's 2009. What you guys are you talking about the Harvey Keitel one? That one is okay. That's 1992. Okay, so you're talking about the original. Yeah, I'd rather watch the Nick Cage one. Die Hard 90s. Yeah, Die Hard's fun. It's not in a top 10, but I mean, yeah, I'm telling you, like if you go back and try to watch The Crow now, I mean, it's unwatchable, man. It really is. All right, so I hope you guys had fun tonight. Chill stream. We got a lot. It's so corny, dude. It's so if you want to destroy, if you have a goth family member and you want to show them how ridiculous goth is, because there actually are still goth people, like Shane Gillis was talking about, like just make them watch The Crow and they'll be like, oh man, this is freaking faking gay, dude. This is awful. So the best way to convert a goth person is let them watch The Crow, and they'll see how dumb they look. You'd just be like, dude, this is what you think you look like something cool in your head, but the way you actually look to me, like that meme, is The Crow. And I guarantee you, dude, they'll convert on the spot. They'll stop being a freaking goth weirdo. All right, guys, again, like and share. Head on over to the Eventbrite right here and get tickets to our LA event March 15th. It's going to be so much fun. How could you not want to come party with Randy Meeks, dude? You don't want to party with Randy Meeks? You know, I'm talking about freaking Randy Meeks from Scream, dude. The Randy Meeks. He will set you straight on all of your movie theories, right? Kindergarten Cop is a fun 90s movie, but not in the top 10. Tonight was my top 10. Not the critics' top 10. My top 10. If these are in y'all's top 10, some obscure weird ones. Dang. Talking about some Angelina Jolie weirdness. Soldier, that's a fun Kurt Russell movie, yeah. Yeah, don't you love nostalgia streams? I love these nostalgia streams. These are great. And I love hearing all of the 90s movies that you guys like that I missed. Thin Red Line, is that yeah. Shakespeare in Love. Give me a break, dude. You know, there was I did think Shakespeare in Love was a good movie. I don't know every time I was in love with it. But, you know, because my buddies were kind of movie, comic book, artsy type dudes, a couple of my buddies were big Kevin Smith fans. I liked Mallrats. I liked a couple things from Kevin Smith, but I was never a huge Kevin Smith fan. But some of it I kind of appreciate looking back. I'm saying in the 90s I wasn't a huge Kevin Smith. I did really like Mallrats. So I thought Mallrats was like the type of independent comedy that I would have wanted to make in the 90s. So we were definitely Kevin Smith fans. Didn't really like Chasing Amy. But Jay and Silent Bob were good characters. So, but the reason I brought up Kevin Smith is that originally Ben Affleck was kind of in the Kevin Smith, indie movie circles, because he's actually, no, he wasn't super well known, I don't think, at the time of Chasing Amy. He might have had, that's early Ben Affleck. That might have even been his, one of his breakout roles, maybe. Was that? That's a good question. What was Ben Affleck's first breakout role? I don't even know, but let's find out. What do you guys think? I bet we got so many movie buffs in the audience. I'm sure you guys could Affleck over here. What is his first big breakout role? Something that surprised me was how successful the Ben Affleck Batmans were. I don't watch comic book movies. I don't care about Batman. So I just kind of assumed that it sounded terrible. But if you look up the money, like Ben Affleck Batman's brought in like freaking $1 billion, dude. Like, we're talking about all of them together, which just kind of blew my mind. Like, what? I can't believe that. Okay, let's see. What's Ben Affleck's first big role? Going back to... Okay, Bounce is prior to Chasing Amy. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, Reindeer Games. That was interesting from a goofy perspective. Okay, he's in Mallrats, interestingly. So you see he's coming... Force of Nature. Okay, that's still... Is that Sandra Bullock? Okay. Okay, Armageddon, that's way per... Okay, we're going back to like early 90s. Okay, so he was doing some like extra work in some famous movies. Dazed and Confused. Interesting. So yeah, so that's what I thought. So Ben Affleck literally comes out of the early Kevin Smith phase. Mallrats and Chasing Amy. Yeah, that's what I thought. Interesting. Baffleck. Robert Lane, $5. Can you help me on my conversion? Do you view Catholicism as mentioned in the Bible, like the beast or the false prophet? Well, the word Catholicos just means wholeness or fullness. So I assume maybe you mean Roman Catholicism, and is that identical to the beast or the false prophet? Sometimes evangelicals kind of have these one-to-one mapping on correspondences of thinking that, the papacy or the Bishop of Rome is necessarily the beast or the false prophet. It could turn into that if today's Rome becomes the center of some kind of world religion, new world religion. So it remains to be seen if the book of Revelation is necessarily talking about today's papacy. We don't know. But it's not the Bishop of Rome per se, right? Because for the first 1,000 years of the Orthodox Church, we believe in and agree with, for the most part, the legitimacy and the orthodoxy of the Bishop of Rome. Doesn't mean we're Roman Catholic, because the split between East and West happens, between 800 to 1054. So you've got two different churches in that regard. So I would hesitate to think that the Bishop of Rome, or the idea of bishops, this is typically a kind of a Protestant thing, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, thank you guys for those super chats. Hit like and share. Tell me about some more 90s movies that you guys... K-9 with Jim Belushi? Come on, dude. I don't like dog movies. Jamie loves dog movies, though. So that's another thing we disagree on, is dog movies. But